He drags rusted, lifeless machines out of fields, breathes new life into them, and racks up millions of views doing it. But behind the roar of the engines and the gleam of fresh paint, there's a story most Diesel Creek fans have never heard. Long before Diesel Creek was a YouTube name, Matt Stetar was just a kid in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania, and the last person you'd expect to become a heavy machinery star. He wasn't born into a family of mechanics. In fact, nobody in his house shared his obsession with engines or grease-stained tools. His dad had a mild connection to machinery. His grandfather, the real mechanic in the family, passed away before Matt could learn from him, and his two older sisters couldn't care less about motors. Matt likes to joke that he was the oops baby, arriving a decade after his sisters and ending up in his mom's old sewing room. But it was in that tiny space, surrounded by mismatched hand-me-downs, that his curiosity caught fire. While other kids played video games, Matt was tearing apart lawnmowers and toys just to see how they worked, and then putting them back together, or at least trying to. No one was there to guide him. No YouTube tutorials, no manuals, just trial, error, and a stubborn need to figure things out. In a town where trades were seen as less respectable than office jobs, Matt's obsession wasn't exactly celebrated. But that didn't matter. Every stripped screw and busted gear taught him something new. It was the start of a mindset that would later define Diesel Creek. The idea that you don't need permission, the perfect tools, or a fancy shop to bring something back to life. After high school, Matt didn't follow the college path most people around him pushed. Instead, he went after a welding certificate, a skill he actually enjoyed and could build on. His first job was with a landscaping company, stacking stones into retaining walls and hauling dirt. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real work. As the company expanded into excavation, Matt got his hands on heavier equipment for the first time. That's when he bought his first piece of machinery. A turning point, even if he didn't know it yet. But not every job was a perfect fit. He tried a machine shop where the paycheck was steady, but the work felt too repetitive. He worked in plants and on construction sites, each time adding another skill to his toolbox. His repair method was simple but effective, what he called the sledgehammer and torch approach. Break it down, figure it out, and fix it with whatever you've got. Through all of it, the doubts were constant. Friends and family didn't see fixing old machines as a real career. No one was offering to mentor him. Still, he kept learning by doing. Welding, fabricating, and tearing into engines no one else wanted to touch. Those years were tough, but they built the foundation for everything to come. Without realizing it, Matt was collecting the exact mix of grit, creativity, and mechanical know-how that would one day set Diesel Creek apart from every other channel in its niche. Before Diesel Creek became a brand, Matt was quietly testing the waters of online content. In 2011, while still in high school, he started uploading grainy clips of himself and his friends tinkering with dirt bikes and off-road machines. There was no catchy channel name, no polished editing, just raw, unfiltered experiments. At most, those early videos brought in about $5 a month, but the idea of earning anything from doing what he loved planted a seed. Still, YouTube wasn't a career back then, not in his world. In 2013, he stepped away entirely, focusing on his day jobs in landscaping, machining, and pipeline repair. His skills grew, but the camera stayed on the shelf. It would take a major shakeup to pull him back. That moment came in 2020. Like millions of others, Matt suddenly found himself out of work when the pandemic hit. With nothing but free time and a shop full of tools, he decided to give YouTube another shot, this time with a clear focus. He named the channel Diesel Creek and committed to showing real, hands-on restoration of heavy equipment. No gimmicks, no shortcuts. His first big upload under the new name came in 2019, a heavy equipment repair project that, while slow to gain traction, set the tone for everything to follow. It wasn't an instant viral hit, but the world was changing. People stuck at home craved content that felt genuine, and Matt's quiet, methodical style was about to find its audience. Once Matt committed to Diesel Creek, the channel began to take shape in a way that felt different from everything else on YouTube. While others leaned into flashy editing, drone shots, and background music, Matt went the opposite direction. A tripod, natural sound, and the steady rhythm of real work. Viewers could hear the clank of a wrench, the hiss of welding, and the occasional muttered frustration when something didn't go to plan. Early projects included bulldozers pulled from overgrown lots, trucks that hadn't run in decades, and excavators bought at auctions for next to nothing. The process was always the same: drag it home, figure out what was broken, and methodically bring it back to life. He didn't just skip to the satisfying ending. He showed every seized bolt, every stubborn hydraulic line, every false start. That honesty became Diesel Creek's signature. In a platform full of staged before and after reveals, Matt invited viewers into the messy middle, the part where most people give up. And because he used basic tools and secondhand parts, he made it feel attainable for anyone willing to try. The channel's growth was slow at first, but the timing was perfect. Lockdown audiences were hungry for long-form, authentic projects they could sink into. Matt delivered exactly that, and once people found him, they stayed. Still, his biggest leaps in viewership were yet to come, fueled by a handful of videos that would rack up millions of views and cement Diesel Creek's place in YouTube's Mechanical Hall of Fame. Every creator has that moment when a single video changes everything. For Matt, it happened more than once. One of his first breakout hits was, "Will It Start?" Abandoned excavator left for years. Over 10 million people watched him drag home a weather-beaten excavator that looked beyond saving. The suspense was simple but addictive. Would it run again, or was it destined for scrap? Viewers stuck around for every stubborn bolt and frustrating setback until the engine finally roared back to life. Then came the old farm truck revival, pulling in around 8 million views. Matt found it sitting in a field, rust creeping over every inch. Piece by piece, he coaxed it back into working order, cleaning the carburetor, swapping the battery, fixing what decades of neglect had broken. When it finally rolled under its own power, you could hear the quiet satisfaction in his voice. Another standout was the 50-year-old bulldozer restoration. The tracks were shot, hydraulics failing, and paint faded to nothing. Matt rebuilt it with second-hand parts, welded what couldn't be replaced, and proved that persistence beats a big budget. Over 7 million people watched the transformation. What made these videos explode wasn't just the machines, it was the tension, the problem-solving, and the feeling that you were right there beside him. Diesel Creek had officially moved from a small niche channel to a must-watch destination for anyone who loves seeing the impossible made possible. By the time Diesel Creek had cemented its place on YouTube, Matt wasn't just restoring machines. He was building a whole world around them. One of his most talked-about side projects was the renovation of an abandoned church. The crumbling building stood as a massive, time-worn challenge, but to Matt it was just another machine in need of repair. Only this one was made of wood, stone, and history instead of steel. Viewers tuned in not just to see the progress, but to watch him apply the same problem-solving mindset to something completely different. Then came plans for his dream shop. For years, Diesel Creek operated out of improvised spaces, but Matt knew if he wanted to take on bigger, more complex machines, he needed a proper base. The new shop promised more room, better tools, and the ability to film projects with fewer limitations, all while staying true to the channel's no-frills, hands-on style. Outside of YouTube, Matt expanded into merchandise, launching dieselcreek.com to sell hats, shirts, and drinkware. It wasn't flashy, but it was built for the loyal fans who wore his logo like a badge of honor. Even with all the growth, Matt kept much of his personal life private. Viewers caught glimpses of his wife, Ava Simone, and their 3 dogs, but the spotlight stayed on the work. Whether clearing land for a new homestead or sharing small moments from rural Pennsylvania, Matt's off-camera life only deepened the connection fans felt to the man behind the machines. With nearly 1 million subscribers and over 150 million views, it's no surprise people started asking the question, how much is Diesel Creek actually worth? According to Net Worth West Spot, Matt's estimated net worth in 2025 is around $1.8 million. On paper, that number sounds like luxury. In reality, it's the result of years of relentless work, careful growth, and reinvesting back into his projects. Most of that income comes from YouTube ads, sponsorships with brands like Shell, and sales from his online store. There's also affiliate revenue from tools and parts he uses on camera. And while the heavy machinery he owns, from a Komatsu excavator to a Caterpillar bulldozer, has value, they're not trophies. They're working assets that demand constant maintenance, repairs, and storage. Despite the growing numbers, Matt's lifestyle doesn't scream millionaire. Much of his day is still spent in the shop, elbow deep in grease, troubleshooting a repair that most people wouldn't dare touch. In interviews, he's been clear, the money was never the goal. In fact, he first monetized his videos just to cover filming costs. That authenticity is part of why his audience sticks around. Viewers sense that the drive behind Diesel Creek isn't chasing viral fame or buying status symbols. It's the satisfaction of bringing something broken back to life. And for Matt, that's worth more than any figure on a net worth tracker. Diesel Creek's success isn't just about machines. It's about the way Matt makes people feel while watching them come back to life. In an online world packed with quick edits and stage drama, his content moves at a different pace. The camera stays rolling through every stripped bolt, every dead end, and every "let's try that again" moment. Viewers aren't just seeing a result, they're part of the process. That slow burn storytelling builds investment. When a rusted excavator finally turns over after weeks of work, it feels like your win too. And because Matt explains each step in plain, relatable language, he bridges the gap between seasoned mechanics and total beginners. Everyone watching walks away with a new piece of knowledge, or at least a new appreciation for the effort behind the fix. Then there's the consistency. Weekly uploads mean fans can follow projects from start to finish without being left hanging. Over time, those projects have become more than just repairs. They're ongoing sagas. Whether he's clearing land for a homestead, piecing together a church restoration, or building his dream shop, there's always another chapter to look forward to. Ultimately, people stick around because Diesel Creek isn't pretending to be anything it's not. It's raw, it's real, and it's proof that persistence beats polish every time. In a sea of disposable content, Matt's work has weight, and that's what keeps his audience coming back week after week. From a kid tearing apart lawnmowers in a tiny bedroom to running one of YouTube's most trusted restoration channels, Matt Stetar has built Diesel Creek with nothing but grit, skill, and stubborn persistence. Nearly 1 million people now follow his every project. But with bigger machines, bigger risks, and bigger expectations, the next challenge could be his toughest yet. And when it comes, the only question is, will Diesel Creek survive it?